those parents that their cognitive function isn't as high and they may need some examples. So I would say, and my number one example is, when your child gets a shot, is that cry different from when they're, mad at home? Because that's usually a very different cry. So that way, we're helping and leading, but we're not changing the integrity of the question. We're still, right? Is that what we agree on?
I think we decided that you could help them understand, and you might give them kind of gives us scenarios of when a child, you would expect a child to cry differently. When they're hungry, when their diaper might be on wrong and you pinch their skin. You've heard babies cry differently when those types of things are going on, where they're just really bored. They're just kind of, So I think that question is probably more obvious to the parent than we think that it would be by reading it.
I think if you give them examples, usually good to ask them, and they will say, oh yeah, they do that. Okay, what other times do they do something like that? And then you can give them that way it's not just being acquiescent, just agreeing or disagreeing. You can really check to see if we can generate examples.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Does everybody get that? Yeah. So we're noting any sound the child makes that reflects one or more of the following emotions. So pleasure, displeasure, eagerness, satisfaction. So like in receptive, if we've already done receptive language and you bring out a toy and they squeal or they, that's, sounding of eagerness or, displeasure, they scream because you take a toy away from them. Pleasure, if they coo or goo because mommy gives them something to eat. You just have to look at those observations and tell whether they're able to vocalize.
Place the child in an infant seat or other appropriate size chair.
Face the child at a normal conversational distance. Ask the parent or caregiver to identify words or sounds that the child says. Say several of these words or sounds to the child, repeating each one at these several times.
I don't think it's. I think you need to have what the goal is to make sure that they are in a position where they're attending to you. Okay, so it's not necessarily in an infant seat but so that they're in a position where they either are attending to you, or if you're going to have the parent do this, if they're going to imitate the parent, they need to be in a position where they have access to the signal that they're supposed to imitate.
The child uses gestures to indicate his or her wants or needs. So the note says, to receive credit, the child uses gestures in combination with and not to the exclusion of sounds and words.
We had quite a discussion over this one ourselves. Because it is, and it may be that this one we have to email them or whatever. But what we rationalized in our discussion is that you're really looking for whether the child uses gestures. So that's the skill you're looking for. But I think they want you to pay attention to the fact that the child is not nonverbal, okay? That they're not always using gestures. Like they don't ever, every time they point, it's not without a, kind of a thing. That their gestures include some sort of,
when they for example. But to pull, when the child pulls mom to come here, and so that there's more to it than just pull.
Right, that there's an obvious lack of vocalizations.
If you give the observations that you're looking for, does her voice go up at the end of a question, or Does he pause after an utterance to wait for you to respond? So if you kind of give those examples of what our observation is, what we're trying to observe, then I think that's appropriate.
Harper was, at one point, she was waiting for her mom to tell her because she had thrown something, and typically I think the response when she throws something is no, 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 don't throw, and Harper kept waiting for her to do that, and she didn't, and so Harper did it for her, and you could see it was no, 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 kind of like that rhythm, that she had this rhythm in her voice, she had the pattern down. So that's a good question, because I think what you need to do, you need to ask the question first using those words. Do they have variations in tone, inflection, and rhythm in their voice? And kind of see, and then if they kind of like, or if they say, can you give me some examples or exactly what do you mean? You need to be prepared to have those examples in your mind, but you want to ask it that way first. Yeah, I think you read it as it's written and then kind of see, or so they'll kind of, read them. Are they going to ask me, or do they? Not sure, and then you might have to either replace the words or give an example.
So EC11, sorry. The child spontaneously initiates sounds, words, or gestures that are associated with objects in the immediate environment. And so I would think at that point gestures are appropriate. But the skill that we're looking for is that their child is drawing the attention of an adult. Yeah, because the child because the skill that we're looking for in this one would be that they're drawing your attention to that object. Now on the next question, whether they're naming it, no, that's not appropriate, because then they have to name the cup.
That's not what they're asking.
As we were thinking about this question, we thought, well, what if you can kind of think of a child when you're sitting there and you may be talking to them about something else, or even talking to the family, and all of a sudden they're like glasses, or they point to your necklace or something, and you're not talking about you're nowhere in the realm of talking about your necklace, but they're initiating like, ooh, pretty. So they're drawing your attention to it, and they're initiating it.
Because they heard you say it.
No.
Oh,
It's just in their environment.
It's just something they're like, oh, look,
Like,
this is pretty.
Johnny and I are talking, and all of a sudden the child's like,
You're like, oh yeah, my necklace. You've all done that, or like, wait, no, don't touch my glasses. You weren't drawing their attention to the glasses. That's the last place you want them, as a matter of fact. But they're like, ooh, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in that. I want you to see that, or I want that. It's kind of that behavior.
Tori?
We're good. I was looking at something different.
Okay, so does that make sense? Is everybody clear on 11? Yeah. And then 12, we talked about that we want them to use a sound. It doesn't have to be pronounced correctly, but it needs to be different to tell us that it's something different, okay? Not the sign.
Give and take. I think what you want to make sure there is that a child is not only initiating interaction, but they're responding as well. Okay? Not those children who can't, no matter what that they can't give you a response back. So that's that, making sure there's a give and a take in the communication pattern. Response back. So that's that, making sure there's a give and a take in the communication pattern.
And you just may have to explain that more in the interview questions, because if you read the interview questions, it doesn't ask that back and forth. So you say, does your child use action, sounds, or other nonverbal means to communicate? And they say, yeah. And you say, give me some examples. And they say, give me an example.
He says cookie when he wants a cookie.
Okay. And you say,
Where's the cookie?
where's the cookie? And they say, cookie. So like, it's a back and forth. They name what they want, and then you give them, a question of some sort. Where is the cookies? And they point to where the cookies are, or kind of have that back and forth.
children sometimes use phrases, two-word phrases to mean one concept, like thank you and bye-bye. Those are 2 words, but they're not a 2-word.
He fell down and he goes, or he dropped something and said, uh-oh. Or if he fell down and said, oh-oh, or owie, or something like that, that's expressing what experience he just went through. And I think we kind of talked about also, talks about his or her immediate experiences, and it says frequently, sometimes, or rarely. And we kind of discussed if he just uses that one phrase a couple of times during the day, does that count?
Because it says experiences, there's a plural of experiences, but if he's just doing it to describe one,
Yeah,
would that
like,
be sometimes?
right, the only thing they really talk about is dropping something.
Yeah.
That's one experience.
I think the key to this one is it says words, not just a word, it's words. So there's more of a description of what's happening.
Form 18,
Let's see, the child engages in extended and meaningful nonverbal exchanges with others.
and this is kind of a difficult question to, and Sam, and you may kind of give us some more, but we were just thinking, have the parent needs to talk about kind of what Brooke did. She talked about that she does in her pretend play. Non-verbally, she goes in, she lays down, pulls her cover up, and pretends to snore. So it's kind of that pretend play, not using any words, but communicating to you meaningful information.
The child walks over, sits down and turns away from you, or something like that. Those are nonverbal, expressions.
So I mean, think about what it's testing. It's looking for kind of spectrum stuff. Those spectrum kids that don't pick up on nonverbals and don't use them to communicate. They don't regulate social interaction with nonverbals. If you're bored with something, you look away. They don't necessarily do that. So the opposite of that is what you know.
They're not even looking at what you're doing.
They're not picking up on what the other people, they're not reading body language to exchange. They can be sitting next to them and not even be aware of who's in the room, or they're in their own little, it's all about me kind of thing.
So what kind of questions are you supposed to be asking the parents if they don't have to have?
Ask them to describe their play. Does your child ever communicate without using words? Give some examples of situations where he or she communicates without using words. So tell me about their play. Tell me what they do. They ever, but like Sam said, you need to give them examples, but then does she ever do anything like that? Like just have the family expand on that. They can't just say yes or no. Lead them into other ways of playing, more to describe.
That's why it's easier to observe when you do that. And you'll probably observe that when you're doing everything else. You'll notice there's a lack of nonverbal communication.
And sometimes, I know you've been sitting in a room and you've been interviewing the parent about something, and the child does not even appear to be, like they're on the floor, they're doing their own thing, and you ask them, does your child stack blocks? And you look over there, and they're stacking the blocks. And so they're
Still partaking in
right, they're partaking, they know what's going on in the room around them, and they can respond to what's going on. Okay, that's kind of a broad question, yeah. All right, 19.
The child uses the pronouns I, you, and me.
Does the child have to use all 3, I, you, and me?
Yes. It says he.
Okay. And EC 20. Last one.
Okay, the child uses words to relate information about other people, their actions, or their experiences.
Give examples, and like if you were to they pick your child up from daycare and they get in the car and they say, Sally's sick, Bobby hit Sally, Sally didn't go to sleep, you know, that they're talking about things that went on in their world.
Bubba broke it, you know,
Right.
things like that.
Or somebody wasn't here today in school, or, you know, they wake up and daddy go to work, daddy home. It's just that sort of thing where they're able to relate information to you about their experiences and what's happening.
I think that one though is about other people, not them. That's what differentiates that one from the first one.
Yes, yes.
So it can't be I did this at school, it would have to be
Someone